Yeah. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. I think we live, baby. I think we live. No Wi-Fi issues today. It's the San Francisco 49ers morning show and got a lot to talk about. We had a Von Miller trade to the LA Rams. I want to talk about the front office a little bit and are the 49ers being aggressive enough? Are they not? We're going to get into that. And also, there was some comments and a hot topic about uh, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan. What was going on before halftime? We'll discuss all that and more right here. So keep it locked. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crosstalk TV podcast. Peace. Welcome to another episode of San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker, and I'm excited because, man, we weren't here yesterday. I felt like I was like missing a part of my family, like missing a part of my routine. I'm like, man, like this can't be life. This can't be life going an hour and a half without talking to my good folks. If you haven't already, make sure you have liked this video. Make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're new to the show, you already know we got the flames coming in. 5 flames if you're doing, I put 10 fingers up. 5 flames if you're doing amazing. Anything less than that is unacceptable, and we got to figure that out, and we need to talk through that together. We come on here every day, man. We're like a family. So I want to make sure everybody's mental is good. Make sure that all y'all, everybody's in the right headspace. The 49ers got to win. Feel a little bit more, got a little more, pep in our step, a little more bounce in our step going. All right. It's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Hump day. So, we're getting over that hump. As usual, I got to shout out some of the things I do. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky. I see my guy DeMarcus. He got, what is that, 8 flames? I got my glasses on today so I can see a little bit better, y'all. By the way, this podcast or this show is now also a podcast. So at the end of this episode, you'll be able to head over. If you don't catch the whole thing and you don't want to watch through, but you want to listen while you do dishes or whatever it is, you'll be able to head over to Apple or Spotify or wherever it is, and we'll be loading this up. So yeah, make sure you guys do that. If you haven't already, you already know you gotta listen to the Locked On 49ers podcast, Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Make sure you guys listen to all those things. Support the show. I put links in the chat for everything or in the description. I appreciate everybody that rocks with me every single morning. Let's go. We got the merchandise coming. It's on the way, y'all. The merchandise is on the way. I promise. Frontline Sports. We got the $1 billion mindset hoodies. We got the $1 billion mindset beanies and hats coming. Man, let's go, man. Let's go. I see y'all like this, man. This is the 9 right here. 19, feel me? 209 all the time. You know what I'm saying? All right. Here we go. Doing as good as Dave Chappelle, not giving a blank what others say. I just commented on that, and the I don't even want to butcher the name, but the LGBTQ it's an aggressive group. And I was listening to his comedy special. I just saw the LGBTQ, the CEO came out and was like, Dave Chappelle hasn't shown remorse. And I'm like, Dave Chappelle's not going to show remorse because his main message throughout that stand-up was that y'all are minorities just like us. Y'all minorities. We're all minorities. And that was one of the biggest things that he was trying to push across. But I guess if you don't really like watch it, maybe you didn't catch that. But that's what he said, man. Like, listen, we're all minorities. Y'all are not the enemies. We are the same. Just want everybody to be treated the same, and let you understand, like, listen, we're not the enemies. We are all minorities. We are all minorities. If you are, a part of that group, you are a minority in this world. You are a minority in this world. So he's like, man, I understand. But they keep going at him. They keep going at him. I'm not gonna say that word, Trice. I'm not gonna say that. I appreciate everybody that's in here, man. But you already know we're gonna open up the chat, get everybody in here live. All right. But let's talk about it, man. Von Miller, he was traded from the Denver Broncos to the LA Rams. And the crazy thing is, he was traded. It was, a second round pick, third round pick, which is not bad, but depending on who Von Miller is, because he's not Von Miller. That's not to say he can't make an impactful play on at any given time, but he's not the Von Miller that we're used to seeing. All right, but he still can play, and they give up a second round pick, a third round pick. It's gonna be hell trying to stop him and Aaron Donald. That's gonna be hell for any team. But a lot of people see that and they think, man, oh, it must be nice to have a front office that is aggressive. It must be nice to have a front office that gets after it. And I will say this. Maybe the 49ers don't make every move that we would like them to make. You know what I'm saying? And I'll answer that question, K-Dot. But maybe the 49ers don't make every move we would like them to make. But I do feel like Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo have been aggressive. And maybe even more so than a lot of other teams. Now, I think where they haven't been aggressive is maybe like getting the superstar that's available, right? Like getting the Jalen Ramsey who really moves the needle, going to get the Matthew Stafford, right? Dragging their feet a little bit on that, going to get the Von Miller. But they have been aggressive, right? I mean, look, D Ford, that was a guy that was coming off of what, 13, 14, 15 sacks with Kansas City. 49ers like, all right, let's go get him. Second round pick. They also looked into Odell Beckham during that same time and just got outbidded. But the mindset that they had, it was aggressive. Going to get Emmanuel Sanders, and they gave up a third and a fourth or something like that to go get Emmanuel Sanders right before the trade deadline to help a Super Bowl run. I feel like that was aggressive. Going to get Trent Williams, like that was aggressive. Going to get Trey Lance. I mean, come on, you gave up 2 future first round picks, and I believe there was a third round pick in there as well or something like that. Like that was aggressive. I do feel like the 49ers make aggressive moves. And I think as a fan base, especially when you see the Rams and kind of what they're doing, it's like, man, no, we want you to be more aggressive. And I get it. I get the pushback on them, but I do believe they have an aggressive mindset. Now, again, do they go and get the guys that we want every single time? No, they don't. Do they go and get the Jamal Adams? And I know right now there's a lot of jokes about Jamal Adams, but when he was available, a lot of people, you'd take him, right? When that whole thing was happening, the Seahawks was like, man, we'll give up 2 first round picks for Jamal Adams. So, but what's the right way? What's the wrong way? And, I've been listening to Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and the big thing that they've been pushing is they want to do things the right way. My question is what is the right way? All right. Now let's talk about what is the right way. Let's talk about, being aggressive. Is it boom or bust? Is it Super Bowl or bust and all those? And I don't believe, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, I don't believe in Super Bowl or bust. I believe in every year putting your team in position to win the Super Bowl or give your team the best chance to be competitive and potentially win a Super Bowl. But I don't believe that if you don't win the Super Bowl, then your whole season is a failure. As someone that covers the 49ers, and clearly I'm a fan of the 49ers, I want to watch a good product on the field more than anything. Not saying I want that more than the Super Bowl, but I would like to see my team at the very least be consistently in that conversation, right? And the Rams, they have put themselves in that conversation to where at least the vibes are up, right? Everybody's walking different. Everybody's walking around. Like the fans are like, hell yeah. Like my team is, you know what I'm saying? We tight like that, right? Like my team, they have a chance to win it all. 49ers, we're not walking around like that. And a matter of fact, for the better part of, the last 20 years, we haven't had that bounce in our step. There's been a few years, I'd say heading into 2013, 2011, we didn't have that bounce on our step heading in 2011. It wasn't until midway through the year where we're like, oh, we are kind of good, right? And then I remember getting our butts kicked by Baltimore on Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, we'll see how good we are. And obviously the 49ers went to the NFC Championship game. And then after that, it was just like, yeah, like we're a good football team. And we had that bounce on our step for the next few years, even heading into 2014, where the expectations were Super Bowl, right? Like just having that confidence in your team. Even heading into 2019, like that was, we're Super Bowl, like, no, we're a year away, right? That was a conversation. Next thing you know, it's like, damn, we're 8-0. Nobody's giving us any respect. Like we are legitimately a Super Bowl team. Like we haven't really had the opportunity to really walk around like and feel like that, right? But I think there's something about general managers and teams that put themselves in positions to potentially win the Super Bowl. Now, you can't you're not gonna you're more everything is stacked against you when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. That's why when everybody says Super Bowl or bust, and if you don't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure. No, like I would love to go through a year and at least feel like we have a chance. Every year. If you told me every year the 49ers have a chance, I would love that feeling. And I don't think it's a bust if you don't win it. Because ultimately, like, I want to have a good time watching games. I hate watching games feeling like my team has no chance to win it all. That is like the worst feeling. That's the worst feeling. And more times than not, that's how we feel as 49er fans. So everybody's saying it's boom or bust. And if the Rams don't win it all because of how they've loaded up, like, nah, man, like that has to be a good feeling. Just to know that you have an opportunity to win. You're one out of 32 teams that legitimately have a chance. And not everybody can say that. Right? Even if 49ers somehow make it to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. Most of this year that we're going through it, we didn't feel like that, right? Like, does this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, does this feel like a championship team to you? I feel like we got the pieces, right? I feel like we have all the pieces to really compete, but it doesn't feel like that. The Rams, like, they feel like that. And the fans, they get to watch all 18 weeks of the NFL season feeling like that. They get to watch, head into the playoffs feeling like that. And I get it. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. But as somebody that covers the 49ers and as somebody that's a fan of the 49ers, I would love to just have that feeling throughout the year of knowing that my team has, they have a chance. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, on the whole Super Bowl bust thing. Von Miller, he's headed over to the Rams. We'll see how that impacts the NFC West. Clearly, they don't care about draft picks. And again, I started off by saying, 49ers have said they're going to build this thing the right way. I think they've made aggressive moves when they felt like they needed to. I feel like the Rams make aggressive moves and maybe more impactful players. But right now, no matter what, everybody says that thing is going to die out and and the Rams are eventually going to fall off. I'm not seeing that yet. It seems like they continue to do things. This didn't just start now, right? It didn't just start with Jalen Ramsey. It didn't just start with, Stafford, Von Miller. I mean, this goes back to even trading for Brandon Cooks, who ultimately, was the receiver that kind of maybe put them over the top to help with their Super Bowl run. So, yeah, that's just my feeling on that. Super Bowl bust. I don't think that's a real thing. I don't think Super Bowl bust is a real team. One out of 32 teams is going to win the Super Bowl. And as somebody that covers the 49ers, as somebody that's a fan of the 49ers, I would love to just walk around throughout the year and really feel confident that my team has the opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And for the better part of the last 20 years, the 49ers haven't had that feeling. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff. All right. Underdog Fantasy promo code Crocky. I got a lot of people that's hit me, man. We making some money. I made 200 last week, man. Another 190 this week, but then I lost 30 and I lost 5, I lost 10. So I probably netted about $130 this week. Let's go. Oh, and I should mention too about being aggressive. And I see somebody talk about 49ers trading for Matthew Stafford and stuff like that. I am a big firm believer in like building organically, right? Like my thought process by nature, if you guys, we're in like a Madden league that I'm in, I do strongly believe like in, drafting and developing, like to my core is drafting and developing. So I don't know what is exactly right way. Like when it comes to Trey Lance, like I love the thought of having Trey Lance over Matthew Stafford because I do believe in draft and develop. But also, I would not complain at all, and I would have loved to have Matthew Stafford. So there's two parts of that, but I see both ends of it. Got my guy Marco Sands in here. He says 62% of viewers aren't subbed. Come on. So if you're so that means Out of this 100 people watching right now, 60 of y'all are not sub to this channel. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button right now. Make sure you guys hit that like button right now. Appreciate everybody that's in here already this morning. Let's get into the next topic, man. And that's Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. And they have been reporting, and obviously we heard Grant Cohn. He was the one that touched on it. KP show tapped him, was like, "Hey man, like, why is Kyle Shanahan not focused on the game?" And he's talking to Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was the extent of what KP said. Just kind of noticed that plays were going on, and Shanahan was just talking to Jimmy. So I guess Grant did some digging and found out that what was said. So he has somebody, and we do have people. I know a couple people on the 49ers. I know one person that gives me some insight, like on the receivers and stuff. This person is kind of close to receivers with things that happens, tells me certain things that they hear from inside the building. I also know a coach on the staff, which out of respect, I don't reach out to him and ask him questions, but I do know somebody that's a coach on the staff. Maybe come the offseason, I'll like legitimately ask him some questions about certain things that transpired throughout this season. But it is not hard to have somebody inside the building, especially if you're just around it. All right. So Grant Cohn did say that, hey, I had somebody, I asked him about the situation, what was being said. And from what he said, Kyle Shanahan was saying to Jimmy Garoppolo, it's simple shit. Can you do it or not? And Jimmy said, yeah, I could do it. Now, there's two sides to this. One, from the coach's standpoint, like coaches just kind of talk like that, right? Like sometimes coaches, they talk about like, hey, man, like, bro, like this stuff is simple. Like I'm laying it out for you, man. Just do it. And those conversations happen all the time, every game. I think the more intriguing part of this was everybody also said during that time, right before halftime, you had Trey Lance warming up. And that was like, all right, like you start to piece these things together, and might be a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility that this was something that was potentially going to happen. A benching of Jimmy Garoppolo at halftime. If you guys remember what that first half was like, man, it was bad. It was bad. There wasn't. I wasn't confident about what had been, transpiring throughout the first half. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, 49ers they're so doing this and they're doing that. The Bears are not a good football team. I repeat, Bears are not a good football team. And the Bears aren't good, and the 49ers are losing to them at halftime. Like, what does that make the 49ers? Again, we'll go back to the first couple games. And I wasn't talking on here yet. We came up with this morning show a little bit later. But you go back to the first couple weeks. If you listen to Locked On 49ers, then you heard me talk about this. Matter of fact, Brian Peacock and I took a lot of heat from the actual 49er fans about this. And they were like, hey, you guys are too negative. You guys are too negative about this. The 49ers are 2-0. Just be happy. Just be happy. 49ers are 2-0. And my thing was, and I was talking about it at the time, what are the expectations for the 49ers? The standard is not the Detroit Lions. The standard is not the Philadelphia Eagles. Like everybody said, oh, 49ers, they'll start 2-0. That right? Now, again, it's a lot easier said than done. They did start off on the road, both road games. So those are really good wins to, have those victories on the road. But that was the big thing, right? Like, 49ers, they should be starting off 2-0. Like this is a favorable start. So they won both games, but it was just something odd about it, right? It wasn't games that they just completely dominated. The Lions game for the better part of that game, but still weird things happened. The Philadelphia Eagles game was ugly, right? I mean, they didn't score until going into halftime, just really odd the way it was playing out. And I didn't have a lot of confidence with what was going on with the team at that time, even though they beat two teams. But I'm thinking, like, if the 49ers are this championship team that we think they are, like, they should really kind of boat race these teams, right? Like, it should be, like, no doubt 49ers just a better team. And I walked away feeling like, damn, man, maybe Philadelphia is good. It turns out they're not. And then the 49ers rattled off 4 straight losses. And that let me know, like, man, there's a chance 49ers are just not a good team. And maybe they won't be who we think that they are, right? So I look at those situations, and I look at, everything that kind of transpired. And then you look at the Bears game, and you look at how they won the game, and we're happy about it, right? Like now the 49ers are, 3-4. But you start to look at the victories, and I'm not saying all victories are good victories at this time. You got to get in the rhythm. But you look at these victories and you're like, all right, man, God, you beat the Lions. They ain't won a game yet. You beat the Eagles. Other teams have really dominated them. And now you beat the Chicago Bears, who are coming off of a game where they got destroyed by Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Was it 35-3 or something like that? Like it was just a shellacking, right? So I look at that and I look at how the 49ers, when you look at the final score, and they won by like 11 points. And it's like, okay, that was a good win. But was it like the way it looked, the way the first half was, and they come out and it's just like you're not really punching them in the mouth. And I think Kyle Shanahan is looking at it like, Jimmy, you are the quarterback. Again, and we've talked about it. You are the quarterback. I need you to look better, especially against teams that we should be dominating. And heading into halftime, up into that 50-yard pass, that was not the case. I even put out the little meme picture of Will Smith with the hat sideways and him looking all sad and stuff. Like that was how I felt in the first half. So the fact that there is potentially being reported that Kyle Shanahan was kind of scolding Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline, saying like, "Bro, like this is simple stuff. Can you do it or not?" I really think that was a conversation that happened. Then you hear reports of Trey Lance warming up on the sideline. Now, would Trey Lance have come in and did what Jimmy Garoppolo did the second half? I don't know. I still I feel like, and I saw somebody say, well, 49ers could have easily been 0-2 if Trey Lance had started the first two games. I feel like the 49ers would be better now for that. It's hard to expect. But I don't know if they would have started 0-2. I think, maybe they could have found ways to win, whatever the case is. But Jimmy Garoppolo, and we look at that game, and it's like Jimmy Garoppolo had a good game. He had a good game. And I even said that, like, okay, Jimmy, like, he needed that. I went back and watched that game last night, and I was just like, it didn't. I think I saw the way that it ended, and I think we were really happy to see that the 49ers came away with a W, but I went back and watched it, and I was just like, it's still weird. It's still weird. And okay, they beat the Chicago Bears, but I think we're supposed to beat them a little bit more handily if we are going to be who we want to be. And right now, I don't think we're that. So I am excited to see this game against the Arizona Cardinals. Again, the 49ers have been in a lot of these games where 4 straight losses, and they probably easily could have won all 4 of those games. So it's hard to just say that the 49ers are a bad team. But again, the bad thing that they were doing was finding different ways to lose. I think right now they're going to have to figure out and find ways to continue to win. String together these wins and start to believe that you really are who you think you are. And I think right now, as fans, we think that's a good team. This is a good team that has to take that next step somehow. I think as players, they're feeling that as well. But now you got to do it. You got to do it. Croc, you're pointing out Jimmy, which wasn't sharp at the beginning. Remember the wide receivers were dropping passes also. How many drops did we have last Sunday? Yeah. So in the first half alone, there were 3 drop passes. That's for sure. Now, again, I'm not saying that Jimmy wasn't, I don't want to say that he wasn't sharp. It was just weird. All right. So whatever you take from that, right? Like it was just like field goals. Did have a missed field goal early on. But at the end of the day, for whatever reason, the 49ers, they were losing heading into halftime to a team that they should be far better than. So, yeah, Debo had 2. Sanu had 1. Definitely passes you would like your receivers to catch. I've talked about with Debo Samuel, though. You won't hear me say anything bad about Debo Samuel in his drops, because if you are a guy who makes big plays, and remember, I mean, the play that really sparked the 49ers, this was early, in the third quarter. I don't think the 49ers had even scored a touchdown yet. But the big play that sparked them was on 3rd and 20. Debo took a screen 80 yards. Like, that was the play. So, Debo, like, hey, if he drops a pass, y'all won't hear me complain, because that's a guy, I mean, and I talked about it even with quarterbacks, right? If you're a quarterback that misses throws, but you make plays, I'm okay with that. If you're a quarterback that misses throws and you're not a playmaker, then that's when I have issues. Same thing with receivers. If you're not a guy who's dynamic, explosive, and making plays, like, say, like, Kendrick Bourne, right? Even though you have to understand what he is, right? So wide receiver 3 or whatever. But you know, he would have these games where he dropped passes, and it's like, man, you're not dynamic enough to drop these passes, right? Debo, he could drop a pass, he could lead the league in drops, but he's going to be a 1,600-yard receiver this year. So I'll live with some drops if he's going to make the plays that he is and average 20 yards a catch. So that is what it is. You guys won't hear me say anything bad about Debo Samuel. Not only does Debo make big plays, but he gets 80% of his passes, so he's going to have a drop or two. Yeah, but even then, like, you know, you get all those. I mean, and I don't want to compare him to Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams has a really high percentage of his team's passing production, and he's not dropping that many passes. So you like to see Debo, hey man, just catch the ball, but do such a big play, man. And sometimes with guys that are looking to make plays, maybe that's some of the issue too, right? You look at some of these drops he's had. I went back and I was watching the game against the Arizona Cardinals. Was it the Cardinals? And Debo Samuel, he's a slant route. It was I believe it was the Cardinals. And you had Trey Lance throw a slant to him right there, and it just hit him like boom right here. And I think sometimes, especially on these slant routes, I think Debo is looking to make a play, right? Like that's the best part of his game, the run after catch. And I think he's thinking too much about what he's going to do with the ball, the next step before securing the pass. So there could be a concentration thing with Debo Samuel on these drops. I don't think he just has like bad hands. He has definitely demonstrated having strong hands, and obviously we know about the big playability. But I think sometimes he's thinking about what's next before securing the catch. That's kind of just something I take note of. Yeah, he dropped one. It was against the Cardinals, I believe. Trey Lance hit him on a slant route. It was a money pass too. I was like, oh, good pass, you know, slant route. It's easy. And with Trey Lance, those are the ones like, you know, sometimes he misses, right? Like just a simple slant route. And it's like, man, you throw it up 5 yards over his head. So it was good to see him like, oh man, you put it on him. Like, all right, Debo, you gotta capitalize on those while you can right now, because Trey Lance might throw it somewhere else next time. All right, here we go. It's early in this conversation. What I want to do now is I want to bring you guys on to talk. Those were the two things I really wanted to touch on, and I felt like we touched on those good. So here we go. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys to come on and speak your mind. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Almost 200 of you guys in here. And like Marco said earlier, 60% of you guys aren't subscribers. So I'm going to need all 60%, 62% of you guys who aren't subscribers. Go right now, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. We come on here. I wanted to make this more like a talk show. All right. Not just a show where, you know, I come on and you guys listen to me rant or talk or whatever the case is. Like, I want to hear your guys' perspective. I want to hear y'all talk about it. This is more of a radio show, man. You guys come on, speak your mind, click the link. I know I have my regulars that come on here. This show will always also now be on Spotify, Apple Pods, all that stuff. So every day, if you miss half of this or whatever, you missed the bulk of the most important part of this conversation, go back, listen to it. It'll be on the Apple. Here we go. We got Ayuk look better past 2 games. You know, Ayuk, I think he always has that ability. They just finally started incorporating him, throwing him the damn ball. All right, here we go. Coming up first, we got my guy Jay. Jay, hey, what's good, dog? You're gonna have to shout out where you at, you know, where they can find all your stuff, because you're big in this Niner space as well. And you're building your YouTube show back up, man. And maybe people don't know that you lost your last one. Maybe they're still subscribed to the last one, but they need to subscribe to your new show, man. So talk to them a little bit about where that's at.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Croc. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm on the road, so that's why I'm
yeah, got you good.
got on video. All right, perfect. So yeah, you can find me at Last Second Sports. As Croc said, you know, I had an old YouTube channel that got deleted, so we're on the come up again. We've been going for a couple weeks and just trying to get those subs back. So that's where you can find us. Just search Last Second Sports. One of the topics that came up last night, Croc, on my show, and I wanted to run it by you to see what your thoughts are. You know, for me, Debo Samuel is my favorite player on the team. But I start to look at things, you know, you look at how the 49ers paid Kittle, which obviously I was on board with that. But you're talking about a guy who's a real football player, a lot like Debo, right? These guys that do not shy away from contact. In fact, they seek it in most scenarios. So you've also got guys who have had injury past. So my question to you is, if the 49ers, let's say this offseason, somebody comes to them before they pay Debo and says, listen, we will give you a first-round pick for Debo Samuel, what would you do in that scenario?
No.
No?
I'm not going to. First of all, the 49ers haven't had this type of production from a receiver in a long time, right? Now, I think just with his ability, I want to build around Debo. A guy who does it all. You can find different ways to get the ball in his hands. He's explosive. He makes plays. Like, I'm not letting that go. And not for a first-round pick because, as we've seen, especially with the 49ers, they've been hit and miss with first-round picks. So, Debo, who has proven to be very productive when healthy, and this is going back to his rookie year. Right, like this isn't. I know everybody's looking at this year, and obviously he's having an amazing year, and he's outdone his production from his rookie year. But he almost had 1,000 total yards as a rookie, where and he missed a game that year, and he was a pivotal part of the 49ers going to the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, potentially the 49ers could have possibly been Super Bowl MVP. Right, like he was playing that well. So no, first round pick. That's not going to do it for my guy Debo Samuel because he's too big of a piece for the 49ers. All right, and the 49ers, maybe if they were a team that had a better history of, drafting and developing receivers, maybe I'd be more opposed to, all right, let them walk or trade them for a first-round pick. If they were the Pittsburgh Steelers or, they were, just any of these, maybe even the Vikings who have done a really good job with receivers, then, all right, maybe. But that ain't been the case for the 49ers. They've really struggled to find a receiver that has been consistent and has been able to produce. So no way, I'm not trading him. One first for sure is not going to do it. It would have to be much more than that to really get me to move off of Debo Samuel. And I don't care. They're going to have to pay him, but whatever. You got players that play well like that. You got to play. You got to pay them. You got to pay them.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. Like I said, for me, Debo truly is my favorite player on the team. The only scenario where I would do it, and this is where this would be a huge win. Again, there's a lot of ifs going into it, but let's say you could sign a Devontae Adams, right? Pay him instead of paying Debo, and then flip Debo for a first. Then now I'm interested. Now my ears perk up. But just straight up losing Debo for a first, that would be a tough one because you're right. They just don't draft very well. Like that's just the way that it works. So especially at that position. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. It was just a topic of conversation that came up. Last thing I want to say, just a couple things on the way out is, the 49ers are getting some breaks their way. Obviously the Rams are going to be super tough after their trade. They would have been tough anyways, but you've got Henry that's now going to miss time. The Cardinals are very banged up. I think, I know it was the Bears, right? And anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that I will point out anything that's not going well. But right now, the 49ers are starting to have some things break their way. They've got a real outside shot here at making the playoffs. You've got the Vikings who they're fighting with that for that last spot, who just lost Hunter for the year. So, as many injuries as the 49ers have had, there's a lot of things that are starting to break their way here. And, there's an outside shot at these playoffs for sure.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's on the 49ers to really take advantage of that, right? You're looking at a team where, I thought like, oh yeah, the 49ers, like they should beat the Seahawks. I didn't think the Seahawks were good. Dang, they lost that game. The 49ers, they should beat the Colts. I didn't think the Colts were that good. Dang, they lost that game, right? You look at the Colts with other teams, they're finding ways to lose. Somehow 49ers against the Colts found a way to lose. So I think with 49ers right now, it's about, getting in that rhythm, getting in that groove and finding ways to win until everything really starts kind of going your way. But yeah, things are kind of breaking your way, but they still have to capitalize on that.
Yeah, 1,000%. And then the last thing on my way out, man, is so we just saw what it could look like with Trey Lance. We just saw Justin Fields up close. And, don't get me wrong, Fields has certainly struggled really up to this point. He's shown flashes, but he put it all together against the 49ers. And, my whole point to the sit Trey crowd, he's not ready, is we just saw Jimmy Garoppolo probably at his best in that game. One of his best performances in a 49er uniform. And to me, I still don't take it over what Justin Fields put out on that field on Sunday. I'm taking what Justin Fields did and I'm running with it the rest of the season. And that's where, the 49ers could have been with Trey Lance had he started all year, regardless of what the record is. I think the outlook of the season from today forward would look a lot more positive if Trey Lance had been the starter, because I'm taking that Justin Fields performance any day over the best Jimmy Garoppolo that we've seen in possibly 2 years. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, yes, in theory, I 100% agree with you. I think the pushback from the organization would be they felt like Jimmy Garoppolo would have more of those type of games than what he kind of has done to start the season. I hope that makes sense. Right? Like they were depending on Jimmy Garoppolo to come out and just be like, can you just be sharp, right? Can you just do the things that help lead to wins, even if you're not 100% the reason why we win. But the botched snap where he just takes it and ends up scoring a touchdown. Like, can you do those things where you kind of play above the X's and O's? And if you can, then we're going to win games and we don't have to play the rookie quarterback. And I think now, kind of wrapping my brain around things with Kyle Shanahan and some of the things he's been saying, that has been the case, to not play the rookie and to have Jimmy Garoppolo have more games like that. The issue is he only had that kind of game in the second half, and still it sounds like was seconds away from potentially getting benched. So Jimmy, we're going to need you to put it together for a full game. And I'm not quite sold on that performance against the Bears that had just got torched by the Buccaneers the week before. So I got to see more of Jimmy Garoppolo and see if he can kind of string this together. But I think the goal was Jimmy to play more like what he did in the second half, play like that to start the season. And you wouldn't have to go with the rookie. And we wouldn't even have to worry about, wonder where he's at with his development. It would just be like, all right, they're doing the right thing for him. 49ers are winning games in the process.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you saw what I saw. You look at the throw charts, you look at the game, really outside of one deep throw, that was the same Jimmy. Like there was no difference there. He wasn't throwing outside the numbers. He wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. You had an 80-yard pass that was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and you had one really good throw. I will definitely give him that throw. One really good throw with his back against the wall because possibly he was looking at getting benched to Debo right before the half. Outside of that, it was the same old Jimmy to me. But Croc, keep doing your thing. Yeah, everybody out there, if you have not subscribed to Croc, if you have not liked this video, make sure you do so. Croc is the king of 49ers Twitter, so make sure you give him some love.
Man.
Croc, I appreciate you. Have a good one.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'd say just to the last thing that he talked about with Jimmy Garoppolo and it being kind of like the same thing we've seen from Jimmy, but I do think that there's a scenario where even with the same Jimmy Garoppolo that we're used to seeing, you can win with that. And I think that's what the 49ers were banking on, right? Like, yeah, it wasn't a great game from Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think that game was more of, hey, this is just who kind of Jimmy is. And I think the 49ers knew that heading into the season, and they were okay with that. That's why they continued to pay him the $27 million that they're on the hook for this year. I think that's why they were like, all right, we're going to go with him as opposed to start on the rookie. We don't have to start the rookie, but we need more games like that. And again, maybe it's not amazing. Maybe it's not great, but it's just like, okay, can you make this throw? Okay, can you throw this screen and not miss it? Can you, throw this pass over the middle? Okay, might be a little bit off target, but great catch, Sanu. Like, just have those type of games, and I think the 49ers would be okay with that. Not even the full game, but the second half, because there's a scenario if they were playing somebody else in that first half, maybe it could have been, gotten a little bit, a little ugly. Here we go. Next up, got my guy Doughboy. Then we got Ryan. Then we got my guy Dion. Dion is back. All right. Here we go. Doughboy, what's good, man? How you doing?
Man, top of the morning, Croc.
Oh, man. Good morning.
All right, so first things first, man. Debo has to retire a Niner, period. We ain't had it like this since T.O., bro. I can't remember the last receiver we had.
Exciting.
That was...
And I compared it to Debo Samuel a little bit. I mean, Terrell Owens a little bit, because Terrell Owens was somebody that he would drop the ball, but he was just so explosive and he makes so many plays where it's like, man, okay, T.O. led the league in drops. He had 15 drops on the year. I don't care. He's getting off. He's making plays. I can live with a drop here and that's where I'm at with Debo Samuel as well.
Right, man. And then with Brandon, he's been there the whole time. Like I get it, right? He lost a step, but the hands is there. If you let him make a play on the ball, the hands are there. And I feel like the reason why he bulked up like that is for this offense. I remember when Emmanuel Sanders when he left, and they asked him, like, why you don't want to come back, run it back, yada yada yada, and he was like, man, Kyle got me running through the middle like I'm a running back. He got me doing these jet sweeps. I'm a receiver. I'm not supposed to be running through them big old linebackers. And so what? So what? So, you know, I remember last year, McKinnon when he went live on Instagram with Debo, and Debo asked him the same thing. You coming back next year? You running it back? And he damn near said the same thing. He didn't say Kyle's name, but he was just like, man, I'm not playing for that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm already broke up enough. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be running them plays. So I feel like what Brandon did was, let me put on these pounds. I'm not tripping. I'll run through the middle, but let me bulk up for that. The other brothers, they over here getting hurt. Let me be smart about my career, bulk up for him. So when he did that, I feel like maybe that might have, hindered his steps a little bit. But the performances,
So I don't know if he,
I
I don't
like
know
it.
if
I
he
feel like
really,
every time you call him,
I don't know if he bulked up. I know I hear a lot of people say that, but Brandon Ayuk, he was already
yeah,
kind of this sturdy built guy. I think we look at him and we're just like, oh, lean, long frame, long arms. I think his limbs are long, but he was what 5'11 and a half, 205 pounds coming out. So like he's not this like thin, frail built guy. He already has been the kind of,
right,
just that sturdier built frame. Now my guy Brian Peacock thinks like, nah, I think he's a little bit bigger. I don't think he's 210 or anything like that. I think he's a legit 205 in that range. As far as kind of losing a step, I think we might have over hyped how fast he was, right? He does have
mm-hmm.
good run after catch ability, but I don't think he'd ever been just a pure speedster. Like in the sense of I think how people thought, like they were like, nah, he plays at 4.3 speed because he caught some
Right,
slants and took it to the house. He can run. He's a legit 4.4 type guy. And I think he's more of Debo Samuel speed than and Debo Samuel, he's fast and he can run, and he might even have a little bit better acceleration than Brandon Ayuk. But I don't think Ayuk is just that burner that a lot of people thought.
right.
So I don't know. I don't know if he's lost a step. I don't think that's what the issue is.
And then the last thing I want to say, as far as this team goes, is it's going to look completely different next year. A lot of people are leaving. A lot of guys, probably like within the high 20s, 30s. Um, and I just hope that Kyle really has a plan for Trey Lance, man, because that dude is talented, and I would hate to see him wasted with these same quarterback coaches. You know what I mean? The same receiver coordinator. Like, he needs a whole new game plan, a whole new script, and we need a whole new identity next year. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be a whole new team. It's just going to be different, and to hold on to the same principles of 2 years ago, like, come on, get real, man. Like, this is the NFL. It evolves, it changes, and it catches up. Like, look at Andy Reid. Like, they're struggling. Like, because everybody wants to hold on to the same principles. They're still going. They're still doing the Tyreek Hill Kelsey show. That's over with. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, everybody's caught up to that. Everybody's caught up to the Frisco run game. You gotta think outside the box. I feel like he finally did a little bit of what we was asking for as far as play action. Jimmy looked comfortable. When you let him run play action and he could turn around and see that there's nobody in his face, we get the best throws from Jimmy versus, that shotgun and the rush comes off, and, he's back there scrambling and he's trying to force that slant throw. No matter if it's two or three receivers on him, he don't care. He's trying to fit it in. And I'm just hoping, man, Kyle really has a plan for us, because I feel like the first 6 years, fine. You know what I mean? You messed that up. Now, for your extension years with us, I'm willing to let Kyle do whatever he has to do to get us on the right track, because, if we fire him, he'll get hired quickly. And then what? There's no promise that any of these other coaches that are good will want to come coach for us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if there's a line out the window or out the door trying to line up for Trey. I don't know. But that's just my take on it. You know what I'm saying? I just really hope to see our future. It's going to be rough. The next year or two is going to be rough. It is. And I hope that the Niner fans is going to be patient enough to to work through that, especially after this year. If the goal is just to make the playoffs, like that says a lot. Like that's your goal,
Right.
the wild card, and then we'll pull a New York Giants, went on the road all the way to. I don't know, man. That's far fetched, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, man. Shoes Doughboy. I appreciate
We'll
you
see,
coming on.
man.
All right, we got my that was my guy Doughboy. Appreciate every time he comes on. Yeah, nah, I do think that there was a plan, and I saw somebody touch on it a little bit in here, but in the chat. Can't find it right now. But the plan legitimately was to not play Trey Lance. It was for, hey, Jimmy, go out there and just kind of be what you were in 2019, which everybody looks on that season and they think that it was just amazing and great by Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the biggest thing was he was efficient on third down. And right now, 49ers are one of the worst teams in the league. I think they're 31st in the league behind. They're better than the Jaguars on third down. But aside from that, everybody else is better. So that's been the biggest difference between Jimmy Garoppolo then and Jimmy Garoppolo now. 49ers haven't been great on third downs. But aside from that, I think he just planned on getting that same kind of Jimmy Garoppolo and being able to win games with that and not playing Trey Lance. Everybody has, and again, this is me trying to figure out Kyle Shanahan and listening to the things that he says and taking his word for what he says, whether I'm supposed to or not. But it truly sounds like his plan was to not play Trey Lance and let him develop more organically. And he doesn't think that forcing him on the field is the best way to go. He doesn't think that all experience is good experience. All right. I'm just listening to his words and what he says. I'm assuming that he wanted to bring Trey Lance along to where he can run the offense that he sees fit, right? And even my guy Doughboy said it, kind of contradicted yourself a little bit, but you said Jimmy Garoppolo works better off of play action. And I think in theory, like that's what Kyle wants to do. And he wants to make sure that when Trey Lance is ready to go, it's in the offense that he sees fit for himself and be able to expand on some of those things with Trey Lance and his ability, but he might not think he's there yet. Now, I did see somebody else in the comments say, if Kyle felt like Trey Lance was ready to play, he would play him. And my pushback on that would be, I don't think that any rookie quarterback is just ready. I think the more reps you get, the more live reps, the more you see it, the more experience, you become more ready over time. So, I don't think that Trey Lance was any more or less ready than anybody else in this class. It's just about, being out there and being able to go through your lumps. And right now, Kyle Shanahan wasn't willing to sacrifice going through those lumps and taking L's to rush the development of them. And again, doesn't feel like maybe that's the best way to go about it. All right, next up, here we go. Got my guy Ryan, man. How you doing, bro?
Good morning, man. How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I was talking, I guess say I'm a Jimmy hater because I point out some objective truths about Jimmy and the 49ers, man. It'd be like, dude, I think you just said the stat. We're 31st and third down conversions, and that is terrible. But we're like top 5 in red zone touchdown scoring. You know what I mean? But if you're not producing third downs and you're moving the ball and getting time possession, that makes it bad for our defense. And I don't think D'Amico Ryan's getting enough credit for a team that's so bad, so poor on third down conversions. But the defense that we've been playing all year is with what we have. With a first-year defensive coach going through the injuries that he dealt with, man, he deserves a lot more props. And I don't think a lot of people understand what he's doing over there. So that was one of the things that I was calling about. And the Trey Lance situation was, how do people think he's going to develop if he sits for 3 years and no in-game reps? How do you think that's going to?
Okay, hold on. Let me push back on that. He's not sitting for 3 years. He's playing next year. Like that's facts. Like he's playing next year.
No.
But I will say this, and I don't know the answer to this, and we've seen just different scenarios with this. There have been guys that have sat, and it worked out just fine. They came in, they played well. There have been other guys who played right away, and it worked for them. I think really when we look at it, should guys play right away? Should they sit or whatever? It's really an individual, case. You got to look at each case differently, right, or individually. And I don't know what the right way is because we've seen it work out always. I think we would like to see, hey, put him in there, let him play right now. But I don't know, man. I don't know what exactly the right way to do it is.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I see like people say, well, he's a rookie. He hasn't had that many passing attempts, and I'm like, I get that, but that's
Right.
no a whole another year like this year with no type of experience. He's only going to be, he's going to have more book sense, but that doesn't mean you have the experience to go out there and utilize the information you have and play well. And so
Right.
that's why I'm a fan of like if Jimmy is playing, he had his best game this year. It was the fourth highest rated game this past Sunday. So for us, it was like, oh wow, it was the best game we've seen in 2 years. But all the other quarterbacks like, that was an okay game. You know what I mean? And it's like this
Yeah.
is the type of situation we've been in over the last 3 years. We need more of, I think, the presence of Jimmy, like where he was. I think it's like that Huff. What's his name? Hufanga.
Yeah.
He has a
Hufanga.
presence, an aura. Yeah, he has a presence in the aura that he brings. And I don't think Jimmy understands that that team needs that more than even just that presence, that aura, that swag. I was like that Steph Curry effect because we get our butts blown off at home. Like we're like the worst home team ever. And I think the fans be feeding off of a person that brings some type of swag or some type of pizzazz. Like you gotta have some sauce out there dripping. You in the Bay
Yeah.
Area, you know what I'm saying? Like, where is that? You know what I mean? And I think the team, some young guys, they feed off that. They feed off that swag. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we really need out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Ryan, I'm gonna get you off, but yeah, the 49ers, I appreciate you for coming on. The 49ers definitely can use a little bit more swagger, a little bit more just that but that swagger comes with winning. And if you guys remember that 2019 season, I keep going back 2009. I know it's not 2019, but in the sense of just kind of what it looked like, right? What it felt like, the vibes, and the media team was like rocking and rolling. Remember when Quan Alexander came back in the playoffs and they had the Quan Alexander video and it was like he's back. And I mean, 49ers got to get that bounce back in their step. And this is definitely not 2019. They got to figure it out, though. How can we get as close to that as possible so we can get back to having good vibes, having positive vibes, not just with the team, but as a fan base as well? They're not there right now. They're not there right now. And they got to figure it out. All right, here we go. Got my guy Dion coming on, man. Dion, what's good with you, man?
Hey, hey, look, hey, man, check it out.
Are
You
you a
see
Braves
that?
fan?
You die hard, man. I love the Dodgers
Oh,
and I
that's
love
just,
the
I know that
Braves.
felt good. Matter
Hey,
of fact, I
man.
know a lot of Braves fans, man. The Braves, and people might be like, "Oh man, all these bandwagon." Nah, man, like the Braves have a big fan base because in the
Nah,
'90s
bro.
with Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones and Glavine
Yeah.
and Maddox and those guys, like
Hey, man.
people love those Braves, man. Like they were really big in those days.
Look, man, I be on it all night, man. I be on it all day, straight up. If
Straight
you
up,
want me,
pimping.
you
You
can
want
find
me?
me
You
in
can
the
find me in that. Hey,
hey. I'm
all right, I'm
happy,
with you.
man.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
Hey,
some 49ers, man. What's good with
yes,
you?
sir. Hey, you know what? This is actually the perfect thing. The 49ers need to do exactly what the Braves did. Man, in August, it looked like our season was over. We was way under 500. We couldn't barely get to it. Then we finally got to 500. We made some trades. We made some moves. Then we pushed forward. So now we made a trade for this pass rusher. I do not want to say his last name because I don't want to screw it up. Um,
I'm not
and
going to
I saw
attempt
a
it
little,
either.
yeah, I ain't going to attempt that joint. I saw a little bit of tape on him and I understand it, but for me, it's a lackluster move strictly based on the fact that that's all we did. The teams in our divisions went and got some marquee names, some marquee players, and got better. And we just drafted a dude who has great pressures this year. We get enough pressure on the quarterback as it is. We never get home. That's one of our issues. We could be in the backfield all day long, but we don't touch the quarterback as often as we should. Um, but I saw you said Kyle Shanahan fed up. You named at the top. What's going on with that? What did you hear that I didn't?
Okay, so obviously you have to consider the source. All right,
Oh,
and you had
okay.
Grant Cohn and KP from Niners Nation up in
Mm,
the media booth, and
mm,
KP points out, "Hey, look, like Kyle Shanahan's not paying attention to the game. He's over there talking to Jimmy Garoppolo, right?" So
mm,
Grant Cohn talk to somebody that he knows that's, on the 49ers. And again, I tell
And the
people it's
organization.
not hard if you're around the team, if you're around it, or if you end up kind of being cool with people, it's
Yeah,
not hard to find out certain things. And I know a couple of people on this team. One person gives me information, the other one, he's a coach. So I try to respect that, our relationship and keep it more to talking about
of course.
prospects and things like that. But I can reach out to him and ask, like, hey man, like, what's this? But out of respect, I don't. So Grant Cohn, he knows somebody. And he just asked him, like, hey, what was being said? And it was Kyle Shanahan saying basically to Jimmy Garoppolo, like, can you do this shit? It's hella simple. Like, just get it done. And they had Trey Lance warming up on the sideline during this time, which fans that were there saw Trey Lance warming up. This was before halftime when the game
Okay,
was really
yeah. I
stagnant.
saw that on
And then
Twitter. They said he was warming up
yeah,
at half.
Jimmy went
Okay.
out. Yeah, Jimmy went out, had the 50-yard play. They ended up getting some points before halftime. So that was kind of that whole thing. And it was like, we just touched on, is Shanahan starting to reach his breaking point? A few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, he said, like, Jimmy Garoppolo was not one bad game away from being benched. And
Mm-hmm.
now I do think since that Colts game, that clock has started on Garoppolo. And I think Kyle Shanahan at that time was almost at his breaking point with it. So is he fed
Got
up with him?
you.
I don't know. You let me know, but clearly
Yeah.
he's sticking with him. So he's not all the way fed up.
You can't be all the way fed up if you keep putting the young man on the field. That's the issue. So I know that for a fact. If I'm fed up with somebody and their performance, I definitely ain't putting them on the field, and I'm not giving them no love. I'm not, boosting them up in the media. I'm not trying to make sure I don't say anything negative to bring down their confidence. I'm gonna put, if I'm fed up, you're gonna get on the bench. The young man gonna come in. We're gonna make it happen. But if he winds up truly fed up with them, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of it truthfully hinges on what he said. I think Kyle was being truthful for once because he usually lies to us and the media. I think really when he sees the chances of their playoff hopes completely gone, he most likely truthfully will see Trey Lance. Because I think what he's saying is at that point, I know I have no chance to be able to push this team forward in the playoffs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this young rook as much play as I possibly can. And I understand that to an extent. I would love to have seen Trey from the start of the season, but it is what it is. We got to roll with the punches, and deal with what may come. I don't have any confidence in this game at home because we're at home and we just don't win, man. I know it possibly could be against Colt McCoy, but you don't know, man. Kyler had a little extra time to rest. And, he going to go out there. Kyler on one leg is better than Colt McCoy on two. So
Right.
we may or may not see if Kyler's playing that game with the addition of Allen Robinson, along with DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk, you know what I'm saying, and Zach Ertz and
AJ
James
Green,
Conner.
not AJ Green, not Allen Robinson, but I get what you're saying.
Well, no, Allen Robinson is on the team now. They just traded him. The Bears traded him to the Cards. Yeah, you didn't see that?
Wait, who?
The Bears, Allen Robinson. Remember the dude from the Jags and the Bears? The receiver?
No, he didn't. Did I miss that?
Yes.
No, don't tell me that.
I swear that yes. I saw that come across Twitter unless I was tripping. And I don't smoke
I
no
think
more.
you're tripping, bro. I think
wasn't.
you're tripping, bro. No, you're tripping. I don't see anything. I don't see anything saying he's a.
I could have sworn it said Allen Robinson traded to the Cardinals.
Nah, he's a Bear, bro. He's a Bear.
Wow, I must have been traded. Somebody traded somebody to the Cardinals. I don't know. Maybe I was tripping, But yeah, man, it just with the guys they currently have, it's already enough. AJ Green, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins. We don't know if D-Hop will play because of his hamstring that he has, but you saw him even try to go in on limited plays just to be able to do something. So my thing is we're at home. We don't win at home. And I think that was Doughboy that said something about being the Giants and going on a run. If we got to play on the road, I'm perfectly comfortable with us going on the run because we seem to win on the road. If we got to be at home, I'm a little scared. I'm a little skeptical, keeping it a buck. And if anybody wants to be upset with me about that, look at our record at home currently. Those are just facts, people. I'm not saying nothing negative, but I'm in a good mood, baby. We won the World Series. Now I just need my 49ers to start winning more games and keep the train rolling. You know what I'm saying? And since I bet against them last week and they won, I'm gonna bet against them this week. And hopefully they win. And if they win, I'm gonna keep doing that all year. And that will make that, if that takes us to the playoffs, then damn it, I'm gonna do it. I want to make any little superstition I can have that gives us the edge is gonna work, man. I'm in too good of a mood to be negative. I don't want nothing, what I'm saying, to dim my light or to dim the 49ers light. We will be able to try to pull out of this. And I like I said, at least if we can scratch to that playoffs, that's truthfully all you need. Because at the end of the day, I know it's unrealistic for some teams, but every organization's idea is to come out and win the Super Bowl. That's your job as an organization. Now, whether that's truthfully realistic or not, some teams you kind of look at you like you ain't winning the Super Bowl, right? But that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do, no matter whether you had 0-16 season before or you went 12-5. Look at the Patriots; they went 17 and 18-1. Because they lost the Super Bowl. They was undefeated. You know what I'm saying? So we can try to pull something off, but it all matters, what I'm saying, on how we play and keeping dudes rolling. I think George Kittle's supposed to be back. The only thing I feel bad for is Trey Sermon. Because if you look at it, Trey Sermon got pushed down the depth chart as soon as JaMychal Hasty came back. And when Jeff Wilson Jr. gets back, he's going to get shoved further down that depth chart. And that's messed up. You spent the high round pick on that kid. He ain't do nothing to deserve to be pushed down that far. He should be out there as a 1-2 punch with Elijah Mitchell, just like you did, because JaMychal Hasty honestly hasn't done much of anything since you put him in the game and he's been back. I don't really see a big difference. And I understand he may know the offense, but Trey Sermon is definitely, a guy that ran the ball well when he had his opportunities. So we just have to figure things out, man. It's a task, but Debo right now, he out there running. He gonna mess up some commas. I ain't gonna say the F word, but he gonna mess up some commas next year, bro. Shout out to Future. He gonna mess them commas up because if he keep going the way he going and he can get into double-digit touchdowns, like say Debo gets anywhere between I say about 12 to 15. Oh yeah, his agent finna walk in there and look at Jed York like I know you want to open your pockets, baby. How deep are we opening them pockets?
Yeah, they're gonna come, man. Dion, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Rock, nothing but love to you, baby. Glad to see the internet is back, man. And your phone was working proper yesterday, man. It was crispy. You ain't had no problem.
But it was
I
just
know
my
it's
whole
hard to do
vibe was off
everything.
though. Yeah, my whole vibe, seeing the chat, how everything's all constructed, talking into my mic, the whole vibe was off, and I was like, "This is awkward. I can't do it."
I got you, man. Nothing but love to you, baby. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
And everybody out there, like and subscribe. And shout out again. Congrats to the wife, on the job and everything, man.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you, big dog.
Yes, sir.
All right. That was my guy, Dion. Coming up next, I got my guy, Mike. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got over 300 people in here watching live right now. All right. But how my guy Marco said earlier, 62% of people watching live are not subscribed to this YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button, click the chat down, hit the like button, pop back into the chat. I appreciate everybody that's in here. And I've talked about it before, man. We're like a family. I see our family arguing amongst themselves in the chat, man. That's not what this is about. We're talking about 49ers football. We're trying to get some good vibes. We're trying to talk through just really this process that the 49ers are going through and what's the right way to go about it. Is there a right way? Where are they headed? What's the trajectory? They got a big game coming up this Sunday. All right. Let's be cool with each other. Let's love each other. Over 300 people in here. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. And if you haven't been here for the entirety of this episode, shortly after this, it will be up on Apple, Spotify, and whatever streaming site that you use to listen to your podcast. All right. So, yeah, man, this is going live. Make sure if you haven't already, do that. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky. We'll get into some more of that later. And my guy, Abel, I ain't click it. Abel, what up, man? Shop me the $10. Let's go. I'm going to keep that up there. But as I keep that up, let's keep these positive vibes going. My guy Mike is coming on. He has some things that he wants to say. Here we go. What up, Mike?
What's going on, Croc?
Hey, man, thanks for being patient with me.
Not a problem. Appreciate you letting me on your platform, man. Shout out to you, man.
Oh, you already know. So you had a take, man. You had a take, and you put it in the private chat. But I want you to, just get that out amongst the fans, and let's talk through that.
All right, yeah. So I basically said Jimmy is only a complimentary piece. He's not a superstar, man. And I think we're jaded from the yesteryears of legendary quarterbacks from this organization, and we expect elite play out of them. And that's not necessarily the case here. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo needs an elite run game. I want to say elite to complement his style of quarterbacking. Uh,
Right.
as long as we don't have that, he's going to struggle. And we saw him make plays with his legs, which is something that he doesn't do. Well, I feel like something we haven't seen him do since he tore his ACL, because he was running the ball when that happened. And ever since then, he's kind of been a shell of himself. And what we expect from Jimmy Garoppolo is I just feel like it's out of touch, it's out of place. It's not who he is.
Right. And I agree in the sense of and the way I kind of describe this is, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not the playmaker, right? And I
Right.
believe I listened to it was not Ian Rappaport. Who's the other one that does the draft stuff? Not Todd McShay. Well, anyways, it was one of those mainstream media guys. And one thing that they said was you're either a tractor, you're either a truck or you're a trailer, right? A truck, he can pull the offense. He can he can make plays on his own. He doesn't really need the offense to, just consistently create everything for him and always put him in position because he can make plays. And that would be like Kyler Murray, right? Or even, and we saw some of this from Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance, he's a truck. He eventually be able to pull this team and be able to win in multiple ways. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's more of a trailer. Daniel Jeremiah, thanks, Zach. Uh, Zach, that's exactly who it is, Daniel Jeremiah. But you have Jimmy Garoppolo. He's more of a trailer, right? He's kind of going to be pulled along with the offense, right? You're going to have to really lean heavily on Kyle Shanahan. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with
Not
that
at all.
as long as your team is constructed to be able to win that way. And when you look at it right now, maybe not so much. Maybe they need somebody that's going to do it. We're going to find that out. But yeah, as you know, just in the sense of who Jimmy Garoppolo is, you're right. He's not that superstar. He kind of needs the coach to be the superstar and him be able to play off of that.
Right. And I think the elephant in the room is Raheem Mostert is obviously the best offense we have thus far. He was in 2019 when Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even have to barely throw against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, and I mean we blew them out the water, right? So
Right.
clearly that's what wins us games, based on the style of offense that Kyle Shanahan is running with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, and I believe we're going to see something slightly different with Trey Lance and his ability to move the ball with his legs and stretch out plays. And I think that's when we'll probably see a little bit more of Trey Sermon as well. I don't know if his style of run play actually fits the package that we need right now. We need somebody to be able to one cut, hit the hole, if that's what we're doing inside, or hit the outside run, right? The
Right.
sweeps and things like that, and one cut and just get up the field. Raheem Mostert does that better than anybody I've ever seen outside of Terrell Davis, right? Or I could even go further back as a Marcus Allen or something, right? You just don't see that anymore these days, and that's what made Jimmy Garoppolo look good. Is having that threat of somebody being able to hit the outside and go 80. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now that we don't have that, although Mitchell's doing really really
I
well,
was going to
and
say,
no
do you think Mitchell's kind of
shot.
developing into that?
Yeah, no, Mitchell is getting there, and his vision is getting there. It is going to take time for Mitchell to develop. I mean, what, this is his sixth game or something like that. I mean, come on now, the kid's got, he's going to get there. He needs the time to develop and be able to see those holes. I watched all 22, and there was some plays out there that I know he wish he would have had back, and
And I
and
saw those
that's
too. You could see
yeah,
it.
that's just part of
Like
being a rookie.
I told people, and I know Khalil Herbert, like some of it would kind of be overshadowed because his second half was not good, right? 49ers held him to like 6 yards on 10 carries in the second half. They did a tremendous job.
Right.
First half, it was very clear how Khalil Herbert was running, and I thought he did a terrific job with his vision. I'm talking about Herbert from the Bears. Just
Yeah,
the
I
way
know.
he was running, how he was seeing the holes, how he was setting up blockers. And I'm like, that's on a consistent basis, that's what Elijah Mitchell needs right now.
Yes.
Elijah Mitchell, when he does see it, and he hits it big, right? But there's just some carries where you can see like, oh, he ran into the back of this guy, but man, if he would have cut back here, maybe he would have picked up 7, 8 yards, 9 yards, 10 yards. So
Right.
he's leaving some yards on the field. That doesn't mean that he's not running well. That doesn't mean that he's, can't continue to improve and get better. But I would say this: if he's running for 140 yards and missing yards under there, I mean, we got something. We got
Yeah, no,
something.
definitely.
So
We
that's
got
good.
something. When you see the raw talent like that, that's what makes you excited, right? Because it's like, wow,
Right.
wait till next year, wait till he's 3-4 year season veteran, and he has the potential to be an elite player, right? So we see that now, we're excited about it, and shouts out to Elijah Mitchell, man, coming from the college he came from. That's dope, right?
Yeah, raising
What was it?
cages. Hey, real quick, Mike. I want to ask you this. So we got Double B Studio right here. He says, if Jimmy is a trailer, why he getting paid like a truck? So, what are kind of your thoughts on the contract of Jimmy Garoppolo? How it was constructed? Because I have my thoughts on how it's constructed. I don't think the way that it was constructed was that of someone that's a truck, right? Like they have all these outs, and I think they kind of knew, like, oh, we're not exactly
Right.
sure exactly what he is. But do you think they maybe constructed it that way on purpose because maybe they weren't 100% sold in what Jimmy Garoppolo is, and they wanted some outs just in case he wasn't going to be that truck or even high level trailer?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the dynamics of sports, right? What's the highest paid sport that we watch? Baseball, right? Most of the time, all those contracts are 100% guaranteed, right? Then you go to basketball, football. Football, everybody has an out. Every team has an out. So some guys get paid, some guys don't. Jimmy Garoppolo is just in the same long line of all the other 49er quarterbacks that we had for the past 10, 15 years. We've always fluffed it up to look like we gave him some money, but in the long run, we don't really pay you if it don't pan out. And that's just really
Right.
how we've always done it. I got an argument with my cousin. He's saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is the highest paid quarterback. I said, bro, that must have lasted like a whole 5 hours, maybe 2, 3 days max. And then he
Yeah.
fell back in line with everybody else. So he's not getting paid like a truck. He's getting paid like an NFL quarterback that's a starter. He may get a few extra perks here and there based on whatever his contract is. I don't know what that is because I haven't seen the paperwork. But you could probably find it somewhere, right? It's public information, right?
Yeah.
From to best of my knowledge. So if you look at it and you compare it, he's not getting paid like Patrick Mahomes. He's not getting paid like any of these other elite quarterbacks that are getting top dollar.
Someone
His
said he's
is
getting Tom Brady money,
average at best.
and I
Huh?
will agree on that. Right? Someone
Yeah.
said, my guy Trice. He said he is getting. He says he's getting Tom Brady money, and that's because Tom Brady has been willing to take so many pay cuts, and even at the later part of his
Right.
career going to Tampa, he wasn't probably gonna. He probably. I mean, he could have gotten whatever he wanted, but
But we're talking
whatever the
about
situation
two
was.
people from. We're also talking about two people from two different eras, right? Tom Brady is what,
Right.
15, 16 years in? How many
Right.
years has Jimmy Garoppolo got in? I mean, we're not even talking about the same era when we're talking quarterback and the type of money. He's getting Tom Brady money now, but he don't have Tom Brady money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not the same. We comparing apples to oranges at that point, and I
He
think
did
that should
make a
keep his
lot of
ass.
money though. I will
Yeah,
say
he
that,
did
and
make
I
a lot of
see.
money. Yeah,
Yeah, our guy Manny says 126 million for a quarterback that's never on the field. Yeah, he probably made, but again, that the way the contract was constructed, they had a bunch of outs. And really, if you look at his yearly averages, he's more middle of the pack now. So they kind of got out ahead of
right,
it. They had their outs in the contract. They could have gotten rid of him 2 years ago if they really wanted to, right? Like if he was just trash, they could have let him go. Obviously, they let him play
right.
through some things, work through some things. He had
And
some injuries, and at any moment they could have let go if need be. When they went to look into Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson this offseason, if they wanted to get one
right,
of those quarterbacks, they could move on from Jimmy Garoppolo with very
easily.
minimal cap hit. I think it was like four
Just,
$4 million cap hit or something like that. So the way it was constructed, you could tell that there was a little bit of like, we're not exactly sure who this guy is still.
just as easily as it is to keep him, right? It's just,
Right.
just they can let it go as easy as it is to keep them. Let's not forget the 49ers are frugal when it comes to paying, right? The only person we really paid is Trent Williams, and even then, there's a lot of money that could be left on the table if he don't pan out, right? It's only so
Right.
much money that Trent gets, right? Based on his contract. A lot of incentives. That's what we throw at people. That's what we throw at players. Yeah, you get the money up front, but in the back end, you start to see it dwindle down. You know what I mean? And if we could keep Jimmy this year and next year, somehow that contract worked out for us, clearly based on our history of frugalness. We don't pay players. You've never seen us go after a guy in the offseason and pay him big bucks like a top tier wide receiver or anything like that, or a cornerback or anything that a lot of these 49er fans are asking for. We haven't done that. Never have we ever done it. So I don't think it should be expected at this point. And yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo's contract is mid level. It's not really as much money as you would think it is.
All right. Dang, Mike, man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Right on, Croc.
All right. That was my guy, Mike. That's what's up. Had him on here. Here we go. We got Barn, Bam Bam. Time to move on. I got my glasses on. I still can't. Let me zoom in on this real quick so I can get this name right. Bam Bam. All right, there we go. Time to move on from Mostert. Highly injury prone. Stop hanging on to guys who aren't reliable. One season in the committee isn't enough. Yeah, definitely think that they're going to be move on from Raheem Mostert. I think right now they have a decent dynamic, but again, every time I feel like I have the 49ers running back situation figured out, I don't. Heading into this year, I'm like, oh, okay, you got Raheem Mostert, you got you got the rookie Trey Sermon, you drafted in the third round, like that's going to be this 1-2 punch, it's going to be dynamic. Well, 2 carries in, Raheem Mostert was out of there, right, for the entire year. And then it's like, okay, well, now it's the Trey Sermon show. That was your 3rd round pick. And it's like, no, we don't even want to give him the ball. Remember against Philadelphia, it was, the Lions, boom, it's Elijah Mitchell. I don't even think Trey Sermon was suited up against the Lions, right? Then he start off on just the inactive list, a healthy scratch. Go to the Eagles game, Sermon is healthy, but Elijah Mitchell's getting all the carries. And then I think Elijah Mitchell kind of went down with the shoulder, and then it was like, all right, now it's Trey Sermon time. No, it was Hasty time. And then Hasty got hurt. So then it's like, okay, now it's Sermon time. No, Sermon has 1 carry and he ends up with a concussion. He gets hit like 10 times before he hits the ground. And then they had to go with Cannon, I believe his name is. So it's never really been Trey Sermon time. And I've always tried to figure out like the running back situation, but I stopped. If I had to guess, I'd say moving forward, they're going to go with, some combination of Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon. Hopefully he starts to run how they want. And then Hasty's going to be around. But I feel like every year when I try to, predict and try to guess what this running back room is going to be like and what they're going to do, I'm damn near wrong every single time. So it's really hard to get in the mind of Kyle Shanahan and how he feels about the running back situation. But running backs are plug and play. I'm surprised they spent the 3rd round pick on the guy, especially with a lot of the what they've gotten out of these guys, the production they've gotten out of some of these guys that are, undrafted picks or late round picks. And it's like, let's trade up 3rd round for a guy, and then you don't even play. That's where the 49ers have messed up. They botched so many of these running, like it's like for a team that doesn't value the running back position, they value the running back position, right? Look at what they did right away. It's like, oh yeah, let's go out and let's get a Jerick McKinnon and let's get Tevin Coleman and Joe Williams. And they traded, people don't remember this, they traded a 4th round pick for Kabri Bibbs the first year they showed up. A 4th round pick for Kabri Bibbs. Who is he? He didn't even make the team. All right. So they also drafted Joe Williams that year. Neither one of those guys even played. They went with the undrafted guy in Breda, and they played with Hyde. And then moving forward, they spent all this money on Jerick McKinnon. And then they ended up getting Tevin Coleman, and that stuff didn't work out. Neither one of those guys really were the guy, but they spent a bunch of money on them just to play Jeff Wilson and let him eventually and play Raheem Mostert. So it's like, why do you guys keep putting a lot of resources into the running back position? You think at some point, and me, I'm not really typically critical of the team, but I try to see it from their perspective. But that's the one I don't understand. You put a lot of resources at the running back position only to play the guys that you took either late round, had undrafted, or a guy like Raheem Mostert, who was a special teamer on the roster. Hasty, not drafted. Like you play him over the 3rd round pick. So I'm really confused with how they do this running back position and kind of what their thought process is. Because again, it's like they don't value it, but then when they do value it, they don't even play the guys that they're valuing. Really curious. I think with Mitchell being a rookie, I'm glad Wilson is coming back just in case and he hits a rookie wall. Yeah, that's actually a great point, Abel. Uh, you got a lot of times rookies, especially coming out of college, like they're not playing especially now it's 17 games. They're not playing that most of the time in college. All right. Now, some of these teams, they are playing in the college football playoffs, so they're playing a little bit more. But for a majority of these teams, they're playing 11, 12 games. And to go from that to the NFL where, everything is football and the seasons are longer and then you have the playoffs. At some point, a lot of times you do see rookies hit that rookie wall. Hopefully, a guy like Mitchell doesn't hit that wall, but I do think that having, Jeff Wilson come back definitely helps, right? Now, the one thing they will miss with Mitchell, because as well as Jeff Wilson runs, he's still not like a home run threat. Well, Mitchell, I think I'm looking at how he runs, and I really feel like he threatens teams with his speed. Again, I don't think he runs or plays at that 4.3 speed that he ran, and it was like 4.38 or something like that. I don't think he plays at that, right? You gotta look at Mitchell. Mitchell is listed at 5'10, 201 pounds or something like that, right? That's not really what he is. He weighed in at the Senior Bowl at like 218 pounds. So he lost a lot of weight to run his 40, but I think naturally him just walking around, he's more of a 218, 220-pound back. So I think at that rate, he still has good speed, but I think he's more of a 4.45 guy, but with that legit size. People think he's a smaller back. He's not a small back. I think he's legitimately playing at like 220. All right. But definitely see how, his body continues to hold up. This is a guy who, after getting the bulk of the carries for 2 straight games, he ended up hurting his shoulder and missed some time. Right now he's running strong. Hopefully he doesn't hit that rookie wall. Here we go. Got a contribution. Double B Studio. Usually we can see players get rewarded with more playing time on the field. Results you get the best chance to win. Heard your story and what happened to you. Is there a line that needs to be drawn? What story? Because I've told a lot of stories about my playing time, whether it was really at every level. So I'm not exactly sure what story you're talking about, but let me know what story. Then obviously I'll touch on that. Again, I appreciate everybody that's in the chat. Over 350 of you guys. Again, 62% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. So make sure, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We're here every morning. All right, except for yesterday. I don't know, some weird Wi-Fi issues. We had like a little storm come through. But we're here every morning, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. All right, come in, check in with us, subscribe, click that notification bell so you know every time that we go live. And now this show is we're getting it's going to be on the whatever podcast streaming site you use. We're loading it up to that now. Also, I have Locked On 49ers. Make sure you guys listen to that. Locked On NFL Draft as well. Double B Studio. I'm still waiting. What story was it that I told? Because I've told a lot of stories from my playing days. All right. And if for those of you who don't know, that may be new to the show or just now watching, I played in the Arena League. You know what I'm saying? Still got this my daughter took my ring. I leave my ring out right here. It came in this. It's a big, nice, shiny ring. But my wife, she thinks it's something to kind of play with. I mean, not my wife, excuse me, my daughter. But I played in the Arena League. I was in the NFL with the New York Jets. So a lot of times I'll come on and I'll tell stories about Rex Ryan and what it was like. The quarterback controversy or battle between Mark Sanchez and Geno Smith. I touched on that and what that felt like, just being in the locker and how that whole thing was. But yeah, talk about all that. Let me know if you double B Studio. Let me know if you find out if you can tell me what exactly story you're talking about. Grant Cohen, Elijah Mitchell is Charlie Garner 2.0. Nah. Charlie Garner was like this, it was like the poor man's version of like Barry Sanders. I think maybe do they wear the same number? Wasn't Charlie Garner number 25? And that's what Elijah Mitchell is wearing? Maybe that's what Grant Cohen's seeing. But Charlie Garner was this he was kind of like a LaShawn McCoy before LaShawn McCoy, if I remember correctly. Now this is years ago, but from what I remember of Charlie Garner, I haven't heard that name come up in a while. I believe he was number 25, so they wear the same number. But Charlie Garner was more of this like shifty type guy. I think Elijah Mitchell, in theory, is just more one cut, but he does have a little elusiveness to him. He does. Maybe there's some Charlie Garner to him. Charlie Garner was good. I like Charlie Garner. Appreciate that. Appreciate the contribution. Okay, here we go. Let's see. The story where they benched you when you were playing good because off the field. Okay, so the story that he's saying right now, and then I'll kind of tie that to your other contribution. All right, but my senior year in college, I went to Division II school, University of Arkansas Monticello, and I was a senior. Senior, I was a captain, all that good stuff. Played the first couple games of the season. I did well. I don't think I gave up a catch. All right. The next game we played against OBU, we lost. I maybe gave up 2 catches for like 15 yards or something like that. One play was like a screen play for like 12 yards, whatever it was. All right. But nothing like too crazy. Walked in and I was like benched. Right. And I couldn't figure out why. Like, why am I benched? They then had this whole blowout. And I tried to fight the coaches. They don't know I'm for 209. I'm really about that. All right. But anyways, didn't understand like what the heck was going on, you know. But came back and I went and I talked to the coach the next day. I was ready to go back to California, ready to go back to Stockton, where I probably would have gotten in a lot of trouble. All right. But my coach was like, I don't like the way you've been carrying yourself. You know, I don't think you've been a great example, you know, for the freshmen around or whatever. So, you know, the way you've been practicing all this stuff, which I just didn't know. Like, man, just tell me. Why does it have to blow up? And I try to fight everybody, and that Stockton really come out of me. And, you know, didn't want all that. But I learned a lesson from that. One, from a coaching standpoint, if I have an issue with the way a kid is, you know, carrying themselves, talk to them so it doesn't just explode, you know, out of nowhere. But 2, sometimes, you know, coaches don't like the way the guys are carrying themselves. So here we go. Usually when players get rewarded with more playing time on the field, results give you the best chance to win. Yeah, if you're doing the right, okay, so yeah, as opposed to, so if we're looking at Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, and why maybe Trey Sermon isn't getting as much love, there could potentially be something off the field where they don't like something they're seeing with Trey Sermon, and maybe how he's carrying himself, maybe how he's preparing. Sometimes when you're a 3rd round pick, especially Trey Sermon, who had been doing well in OTAs, I believe it was, and then training camp, it started to look a little more weird. But maybe people are looking and they're like, all right, we don't really like what we're seeing. But man, this Elijah Mitchell, I like how he's carrying himself. I like what he's doing. I don't like how Trey Sermon's carrying himself. I don't care if he was a 3rd round pick and we traded up to get you. This 6th round pick, though, he's doing everything that we want. He's looking good. We're playing him. And I will say this about the 49ers. I respect that that's what they do. Like, I respect that they, like, regardless of, you know, what your status is, it's not this like politically driven agenda, but it's just like, if you're doing your thing, we're going to play you. I really like that. I appreciate the contribution. I hope that answered it. I did. Hey, I had to tell him. Because, you know, at this time, really, and some of you guys know my story. You know, I was out of school I played as a freshman in junior college. Then I was out of school for 3 years. So between those years, I mean, I'm just working and doing all kind of crazy stuff, robbing stores, all kind of crazy stuff, right? And then 2019, I go back to junior college. So by the time not 2019, excuse me, 2009, I went back to junior college. So by the time I went to the university, I was a 23-year-old senior, right? So like, to me, it's like, bro, I'm a grown man. So y'all not going to talk to me crazy like y'all talk to these 18-year-old freshmen. You know what I'm saying? So one of the coaches said something crazy, and I'm just like, man, come on, step outside. And it didn't go past that, but and I still, even then, I'm not saying I handled that right. I definitely handled that the wrong way. But we resolved it. I'm tight with one of the coaches who I didn't call this Coach Scott. I didn't call him outside, but Coach Scott, that's my guy. You know, we're tight to. We still talk. I just wish he would have told me, like, Coach, you couldn't talk to me before this whole thing exploded. Crockett hit legs. Hey man, like when I was, and you gotta know where I grew up. You know, you just see people do whatever they got to do. And at this time, I was 19 years old. I just had a son, and you know, I ain't had no guidance, man. That's why now I do what I do. I train all these athletes, man, and I try to be a sort of you know, guidance for a lot of these kids, because everything I did, you know, could have been all thrown away and never had the opportunity to be on here with 350 of y'all. So again, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky. All right, all that good stuff. Man, I appreciate everybody in here. We've been on here for exactly an hour and a half. I appreciate all y'all, my family and friends. We'll be right back here tomorrow morning. Same time, same place. I'm out. Peace.
intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace.